Hi, I'm Rashonda. I'm the creator of this YouTube channel and the creator of the artbyro.com website, where you can find over 200 art and drawing tutorials. They're great for beginners. They're great for artist trading cards. So much good stuff there. Check that out, but watch this video first, because today we're going to be drawing a cute, fun, little whimsical cartoon bird. These are, again, great for beginners. A lot of different things you can do with them. So hopefully you follow along, you feel inspired to draw your own little whimsical birds, and I will see you over at the art studio. Let's go ahead and start drawing. Today I'm going to be drawing a kind of a whimsical cartoon bird. These are a lot of fun. They're easy. Like usual, I'm working on an artist trading card. You can use any size or type of paper you want. If you're not familiar with artist trading cards, check out the description box. I'll put a link in there to my free artist trading card guide if you're interested in that. So let's go ahead and get started. I like starting with basic shapes for many different reasons. So we're going to start with the circle for the head. And then we're going to do kind of a triangular cone shape for the body. And draw lightly, because a lot of these lines are going to get erased. And then we're going to have a couple legs coming down here. This guy's going to be not realistic, I guess you could say. I'm going to put some little joints there in the knees. Use your eraser if you need to. So we're just laying everything out right now, right? So here's the basic layout of our bird. Getting these basic shapes down, it helps us get some initial marks on the paper. We can see the size it's going to be, the placement on the paper, and I don't worry about my drawings running off the edge of the paper. I actually kind of like it when they fill the whole paper up. So if the feet go off the bottom a little bit, it's fine. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to scrap it and start over. It's not worth it to me. So let's go ahead and keep going here. So I divided the head so I can see where everything's going to be. And this is going to be, like I said, this is going to be a cartoon whimsical type drawing. So he's going to have nice big eyes. So I am going to draw those pretty much the size of the top of the head. The pupils will be in here. You can make them look in the same direction, excuse me. They can look the same direction, or one can be bigger than the other. He can be kind of googly-eyed, looking in different directions. Then we're going to draw a little triangle here for the beak. Okay, so there's the head. So that's basically going to be it for the head. So now we're going to use this cone or triangle shape down here as a guide. And starting a little bit bigger, I'm going to make just some texture here, some kind of feathery lines. There's a lot of different ways you could do this. You don't have to do it this way. You could make them just straight kind of smooth lines, but I'm going to make a little bit of some textured lines there. And then for the top of the head, I'm going to continue, and it's going to kind of continue that cone. And again, there's different ways you can do this. You can do them straight, doesn't really matter. He's going to have these kind of little knee joints there. The feet, we're not really going to do much more with those. So that's pretty much it for the drawing itself. And you could come in here and clean these up a little bit. If you're having a hard time seeing where everything's at, that's your choice. So the next thing I'm going to do is outline this with a black pen. I like using these Sharpie pens. This is a medium. This is different than the extra fine point Sharpie marker, the ones that are white with the black cap. This is a pen, and it takes to the paper differently than the markers do. But I'm going to go ahead and just outline everything. And then we'll go in with a block eraser and erase the lines. Now the nice thing about this drawing is because it is just kind of a fun, crazy, whimsical type of a drawing, things don't have to be perfect. So it makes it really, really nice for beginners. You don't have to worry about messing up. It's really hard to mess up on this. If your eyes aren't perfectly symmetrical, if your circles aren't even, really doesn't matter. So I'm just going to go right over top of these pencil lines. And the other thing is it doesn't matter if you follow exactly over your pencil lines. If you go off a little bit, it's not really going to hurt anything. We're going to make the feet come out. I'm going to actually draw that little knee joint there. And you can leave that off. It just something makes it look a little more silly. Now for your lines, you can vary the line weight, meaning some of your lines could be thicker than others. You could go around and bold the outline. That looks good sometimes. Just darken it up a little bit. And then the next thing is going to be to use the eraser to get rid of the pencil lines. And then after you get rid of all your pencil lines, you might see some gaps in the outline. And then maybe you might want to go in and touch that up a little bit. Sometimes it looks like it's filled all the way in, and then when you get rid of the pencil lines, then you can see where you missed part of it. You could also use a marker. You could try different colors. For my videos, my goal with these and what my hope is for you is that you watch this video or any of the videos and feel inspired to do your own drawings, and then use that to try some different things. So I always try to give you some different ideas of drawings you could do, different things you could try. So I hope that you would take the step by step and then change it a little bit to make it your own. So maybe you try outlining it with a different color instead of black. Maybe you use purple or green or orange. Or maybe you just try coloring it a different way. Maybe you try changing the shape a little bit. And I don't know if you can see this or not, but this pen did smear a little bit. I didn't let it dry enough. But most of it will get covered up anyway. So it's not a huge deal, but you do want to let this dry a little bit before erasing it. But we can also use the pen and get rid of that a little bit. So now the next step is to color it with some markers. So I already have my markers picked out, and how I choose my colors is by using this little scrap paper to see how they go together. This is the scraps left over from when I cut out my artist trading cards. I always have those little scraps left over. So I am going to start with the beak. And I'm gonna put my lighter color down first. I usually will use 2 or 3 different markers, depending on the size of my drawing. The artist trading cards are kind of small, so I usually do 2 colors. And by that, I mean I'll pick, like for this orange, I have a light orange and then I have a darker orange. And then I take the lighter color and I go over the line where they come together and blend those. I like my colors to be blended together. So to do that, you need to work while the marker is still wet. And that's pretty easy to do. You just have to work in sections at a time. I don't know how long exactly it takes for the alcohol to evaporate, but as long as you work in sections, you should be okay. So I'm going to do the same thing with the blue. Get my darker color. And I'm not worrying about light sources or anything like that. I usually just kind of go around the edges. It breaks up the big blocks of color. It adds a little bit of depth so the drawing don't look as flat. Now you can also just color it in one solid color if you want it to look a little flatter. Either way is fine, that's up to you. You could do a different color. Since this is just a cartoony, whimsical type drawing, really any color would work. You could do greens, red, browns. So one of the things I like to do is to make a series of drawings where I'll do the same type of drawing and then change it a little bit each time. And typically what I'll do is I call them a 7-day challenge or a weekly challenge or daily drawing challenge, where I'll pick a theme for the week. So the theme could be the whimsical cartoon bird, and I'll take this original drawing design and I'll do a different one each day for a week. So I'm doing 7 different drawings, and I'll change it a little bit each time. So it could be changing how I do the outline. It could be changing how I do this feather texture. It could be just the color, maybe the designs I put over top of them. It could be anything. It could be the overall shape. So I've done that where I just did cartoon birds and I did 7 of them and each one was different. There's a lot of different things. It's a really good creativity exercise to do that. And just challenging yourself to come up with different ideas. And that's one of the things I really like the artist trading cards for, because they're smaller. They don't take as much time, so it's more realistic to be able to do a different drawing each day. Because typically on the artist trading cards, they'll take a half hour or less for the most part, unless I'm doing something real detailed and intricate. Most of the drawings I can do in about a half hour. So for me, even with working every day and having other responsibilities, a half hour a day is reasonable to do a different drawing. And it makes it really easy when you know what that subject's going to be. So if you know you're going to be doing a bird, or if you know you're specifically going to be doing this bird and just changing it up every day, it makes it a lot easier because you already know what you're going to do. You don't have to try to decide and think about it, and all you have to do is you start with your basic shape, and then from there, come up with ideas for how you can change it. So you could do different backgrounds, different colors, different ways of doing the feathers. Another thing you could do is change the shape of his body a little bit. So you can make it more plump looking. You could make it more rounded. You could make the feathers different. There's just so many different ways you could change this up really easily. And have something totally different and just come up with a different design each day. So now I'm going to do the background. I already had my markers picked out for it. So I am going to start with this purple at the top. And again, I want to work in sections, which will be easy for this because I'm going to do 4 different colors kind of fading into each other. So for this background, because it is just a fun, cartoony, whimsical type of a drawing, it's not as important that these colors are seamless. But that's one of the reasons for choosing out the colors ahead of time. Because if you want your markers to transition smoothly, then they need to be similar enough that they'll blend, but different enough so that it doesn't look like it's just the same color being continued. So if you're using markers, you do need to have a fairly large supply, because you have to have multiples of each color. So you have to have a bunch of different blues, a bunch of different purples, a bunch of different pinks. In this marker, these 2 blues are not blending very well, which is okay for this. That's not going to hurt anything. Mostly it's because this marker is running out. Now another thing you could do is use a colorless blender, which normally come in the sets. I normally will not use the colorless blender just because I don't like having a bunch of extra markers laying around. If you use markers, then you know you already have quite a few out, because you have to have enough variation and have them similar enough, so you'll be using several markers for each color that you have already. And the other thing with the colorless blender is it acts a little bit like an eraser, and it removes the pigment, and I don't like how that looks, so I'll typically just use the markers that I'm already using for my colors, and I'll just take the lighter marker and go over top, because that's adding pigment where the colorless blender is just taking it away. But you can play around with it, try it out, see what your preference is. So normally I would want these colors to blend in a little bit smoother, but for this type of drawing, I don't care about that too much. I want to have some fun colors in the background. I like the purple and pink, so I'm not gonna worry too much about it. That's one of the things I really try to emphasize in my videos is I think the most important thing is to just make art And perfectionism is bad, in my opinion. Unless you're trying to make a living at your artwork, which most people are not. I think most people, especially the ones that follow me and the type of videos that I make, you're just trying to enjoy creating art. So being too focused on everything being perfect is gonna ultimately just end up making you not want to make artwork. So the next thing I want to do, the last thing to finish this up, is I will use a white Jelly Roll pen. And I'll add a few little white highlights. And then I also like adding some white dots to his feathers just to add to that quirky feel to him. And then I'll just vary the size of these dots. One thing with the Jelly Roll pen over top of the markers is that if your markers are still wet, then it's gonna make the pen soak into the paper. And if that happens, it won't hurt anything. You'll just need to let it dry a little bit and then go back over top of it. No big deal. So that's pretty much it. I think I'm going to call this done. So like I said, there's a lot of ways you can change this up, do something different. You could change the background, the color, those are easy to do. And then start playing around with the eyes, the body shape. A lot of different things you can do to change it up, make it your own. I love doing the series of drawings just to have some easy variation, get some artwork done, and enjoying the process, and just relaxing and having fun with your art. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you in the next one. Happy creating! Well, that's it for today's tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. I really hope you followed along. If you did enjoy it, please give us a like and subscribe to get notified of future videos. Also, before you take off, check out the description box. There's a link in there to that artist trading card guide. That's a free download. It's a PDF file you can print out. You can save it. You can view it on your computer, however you want to do it. That's in there for you. Also, the link to our Facebook group is in there. There's a lot of fun stuff going on, a lot of nice people. It's a great place to hang out and share your artwork, so check that out. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!